The Indo-Pacific is once again at the center of rising global tensions after a historic military exercise in the Philippines triggered outrage from China and raised serious questions about the future of security in the South China Sea. For the first time ever, the United States Army launched a live Tomahawk cruise missile from its powerful Typhon missile system during the Balikatan 2026 military exercises. The event immediately captured international attention because it marked a major escalation in America's military posture near China's doorstep. The launch took place during Balikatan, the annual military exercises between the Philippines and the United States. But this year's drills were far larger and more aggressive than before. Thousands of troops participated alongside advanced missile systems, warships, fighter aircraft, and surveillance assets. Allied countries, including Japan, also joined parts of the exercise, showing how regional security cooperation, ICOA, rapidly expanding. What made the exercise especially controversial was the use of the Typhon mid-range capability missile system. The Typhon launcher is one of the newest strategic weapons developed by the U.S. Army. It can fire both Tomahawk cruise missiles and SM-6 missiles, giving American forces the ability to strike targets hundreds or even thousands of kilometers away with high precision. For military planners, the significance of this launch goes far beyond a simple training exercise. Analysts say it demonstrated that the United States is now capable of deploying long-range land-based missile systems directly inside Allied territories near China. That dramatically changes the strategic balance across the Indo-Pacific region. The Tomahawk missile itself is one of the most famous cruise missiles in modern military history. Traditionally launched from warships or submarines, it has been used in conflicts ranging from the Middle East to Europe. But firing it from a mobile land base, a launcher inside the Philippines creates an entirely new challenge for Chinese defense planners. Unlike fixed missile bases, mobile launchers are difficult to detect and destroy. They can quickly move between locations, making them more survivable during conflict. Experts say this flexibility allows Allied forces to create a highly mobile missile network across the Pacific. For Beijing, the message was unmistakable. China reacted almost immediately after the launch became public. Chinese officials accused Washington of destabilizing the region and transforming the Philippines into a forward military base aimed directly at China. State-linked commentators described the deployment as one of the most provocative military actions taken near Chinese territory in recent years. Chinese military analysts also warned that deploying long-range missile systems close to the South China Sea increases the possibility of military confrontation and could spark a dangerous arms race in Asia. The ANJ czar from Beijing grew even stronger after another major development emerged. Reports revealed that Japan is considering expanding defense cooperation with the Philippines, including the possible transfer of military equipment and missile technology. That announcement represented another major strategic shift in the region. For decades after World War II, Japan maintained strict limits on military exports and overseas military activity. But in recent years, Tokyo has gradually moved toward a stronger defense posture as tensions with China continue rising in the East China Sea and around Taiwan. Now, Japan appears increasingly willing to work alongside both the United States and the Philippines to strengthen regional deterrence. During Balikatan 2026, Japanese forces participated more actively than ever before. Their involvement signaled how rapidly security cooperation between Tokyo and Manila is growing. China strongly criticized Japan's participation. Chinese officials accused Tokyo of abandoning its pacifist traditions and pursuing what Beijing described as offensive military expansion. Chinese media outlets warned that Japan's growing military role in Southeast Asia risks reviving historical fears across the region. But Philippine officials defended the expanding partnerships. The administration of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. argues that the Philippines has no choice but to strengthen alliances because of increasing Chinese pressure in disputed waters. Over the past several years, tensions between China and the Philippines have repeatedly escalated in the South China Sea. Chinese Coast Guard vessels and maritime militia ships have frequently confronted Philippine vessels near contested areas, including Scarborough Shoal and the Second Thomas Shoal. Several incidents involving water cannons, dangerous maneuvers, and ship collisions have pushed relations between Manila and Beijing to some of their lowest levels in decades. Philippine defense officials insist the UNTRI is simply protecting its sovereignty and maritime rights under international law. According to security experts, the Typhon deployment reflects a broader shift in American military strategy across the Indo-Pacific. For years, the United States relied mainly on aircraft carriers and naval fleets to project military power in Asia. But growing Chinese missile capabilities have forced Washington to rethink how it would operate during a future conflict. China has invested heavily in anti-ship ballistic missiles, long-range radar systems, and advanced air defenses designed specifically to threaten American warships operating near the Chinese mainland. As a result, the United States is now focusing more on dispersed and mobile land-based missile systems that can survive attacks while maintaining long-range strike capability. That is exactly where the Philippines becomes strategically important. The country sits in a critical geographic position between the South China Sea and Taiwan. Military planners view the Philippine archipelago as a key area for surveillance, logistics, missile deployment, and alliance coordination. With access to bases inside the Philippines, American forces can operate much closer to key maritime routes and potential conflict zones. The deployment of Typhon in the Philippines, therefore, sends a direct signal not only about the South China Sea, but also about Taiwan. Many analysts believe any future conflict involving Taiwan would inevitably affect nearby countries, including the Philippines and Japan. That reality is one reason regional alliances are strengthening so quickly. Japan, the Philippines, and the United States have all increased joint exercises, intelligence sharing, and security cooperation over the past few years. Leaders from the three countries have also held high-level meetings focused on regional defense coordination. For Washington, building a stronger network of allies is considered essential to countering China's growing military influence, but Beijing sees the situation very differently. Chinese officials argue that the United States is attempting to surround China with military bases, missile systems, and alliance networks designed to contain Chinese power. This perception has fueled growing mistrust between Beijing and Washington. Chinese military commentators warned that if intermediate-range missile systems become permanently deployed in the Philippines, China may respond with additional military countermeasures. Some analysts even suggested that Beijing could expand missile deployments along its southern coast or increase military pressure around Taiwan and the South China Sea. At the same time, concerns are growing inside the Philippines itself. While many Filipinos support stronger defense cooperation with allies, others fear the country could become trapped in the middle of a major confrontation between China and the United States. Communities located near military facilities have expressed concern that expanding foreign military deployments could make the Philippines a frontline target during any future regional conflict. Despite those fears, the Marcos administration continues moving closer toward Washington and Tokyo. The Philippines has expanded access to military sites under its enhanced defense cooperation agreement with the United States. Joint patrols in the South China Sea have also increased significantly. Meanwhile, military modernization efforts inside the Philippines are accelerating. The government has been investing in radar systems, missile defenses, naval assets, and new military infrastructure as part of a broader effort to improve national defense capabilities. Japan is also emerging as an increasingly important security partner. Tokyo has already provided patrol vessels, surveillance equipment, and defense assistance to the Philippines in recent years. Discussions about missile cooperation would represent an even bigger step forward in the growing partnership. P for China. These developments are deeply concerning because they suggest a rapidly expanding regional coalition aligned against Beijing. The timing is especially sensitive because tensions across the Indo-Pacific are already running high. Chinese military activity near Taiwan has intensified. Confrontations in the South China Sea continue almost weekly, and strategic competition between the United States and China is affecting nearly every part of the region. Against that backdrop, the successful Typhon-fired Tomahawk launch carries enormous symbolic importance. It demonstrated that advanced American missile systems are no longer limited to distant naval deployments. Instead, they can now operate directly from Allied territories near key strategic waterways. That changes how future military scenarios may unfold across Asia. Security analysts believe the launch also reflects a larger transition toward a more interconnected regional defense structure. The United States is increasingly integrating Allied militaries into a broader network capable of coordinating missile defense, intelligence sharing, and long-range strike operations. Japan's growing participation in military exercises alongside the Philippines and the United States shows how quickly this network is developing. China views that trend as a direct threat to its security environment, but American and allied officials insist their actions are defensive. They argue that stronger deterrence is necessary because of China's expanding military activities in disputed waters and around Taiwan. According to defense officials, maintaining freedom of navigation and regional stability requires close military cooperation between allied countries. Still, every new deployment and every new exercise raises the risk of miscalculation. Military encounters between Chinese and Philippine vessels have already become increasingly dangerous. Fighter jets and naval ships from multiple countries now operate regularly in close proximity throughout the Indo-Pacific. Analysts warn that even a small incident could rapidly escalate if tensions continue rising. That is why Balikatan 2026 may ultimately be remembered as more than just another military exercise. For many observers, it marked the beginning of a new phase in the Indo-Pacific power struggle, one defined by missile deployments, expanding alliances, and intensifying competition between the world's largest powers. The live Tomahawk launch from the Typhon system symbolized how dramatically the regional security environment is changing. What was once considered unlikely is now becoming reality. Long-range American missile systems are operating from allied territory near China. Japan is taking on a more active military role. The Philippines is deepening defense ties with multiple partners, and China is responding with growing anger and military warnings. As these developments continue unfolding, the entire Indo-Pacific region appears to be entering a more uncertain and dangerous era. The rivalry between Washington and Beijing is no longer limited to diplomacy or trade disputes. It is increasingly becoming a direct military competition, stretching across the seas and islands of Asia. And with every new exercise, missile launch, and alliance agreement, the stakes continue to rise.